Welcome to HomeFront SitRep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront SitRep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Still in the fight, different battlefield, same damn life. No spotlight shining on the ones who serve, just great sacrifice and a whole lot of nerve. From small town shops to a helping hand, we're lifting each other, yeah, that's the plan. No red tape, no filter, no disguise, just truth in the fire behind our eyes. This is HomeFront SitRep, hear the call, where the real ones rise and the fallen stand tall. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the shadows to the spotlight we step. Yeah, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the scars we carry to the lives we reveal, from the weight of silence to the strength of will. Non-profits grinding, boots on the street, no headlines chasing, just mission complete. Veteran alone, still chasing the dream. From a mic to a message, we're building a team. Creators and fighters, yeah, we all belong. Turn the pain into purpose, turn the hurt into song. No politics, no games, no divide. Just warriors standing side by side. This is HomeFront SitRep, hear the call, where the real ones rise and the fallen stand tall. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the shadows to the spotlight we step. Yeah, this is HomeFront SitRep. We don't forget, we don't walk away. We carry each other through every day. From combat boots to a boss to a seat, still standing tall, still hard to defeat. Real stories, real impact, real people. This ain't just a podcast, this is a movement. This is HomeFront SitRep, loud and clear, for the ones still fighting year after year. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. Yeah, we rise, we grind, no regret. Welcome to HomeFront SitRep.
Welcome, everybody, to a Sunday edition of HomeFront SitRep. How is everybody doing? Let me tell you, I am doing wonderful. It's been a rainy week or so since the last time we were on. Gunny and I was on shortly after the last episode. Gunny actually went into the hospital. He just got home yesterday, so he's taking the day off to recoup and relax. So Gunny, prayers still going out your way, my friend. I can't wait to get you back on here, and we continue our mission here at HomeFront SitRep. And then I can't wait. So Gunny and I, we got invited to go down to the Grand Ole Opry July 20th for Challenge America's 250th celebration. We actually have VIP tickets, and this includes Ty with Triple Threat Vets, Travis with Oscar Mike Radio, Rich LaMonica with the Misfit Nation, um, because of the art of podcasting that we do within Challenge America, cavarts.org. So we get to go down there and we get to do a meet and greet with Vince Gill, Amy, his wife, and a bunch of other artists that are going to be at the Grand Ole Opry on the 20th. So Gunny and we're going to be traveling down on the 20th. So we won't have an episode that night, but we'll be able to talk about it when we come back, and talk about it. We might even do a semi sort of live from there somehow. I don't know. We ain't figured it out yet, but we're going to figure it out. Man, I'm super excited. So I'm hoping, Gunny is back up to 100% health, his normal 100%, which, you never could tell that something was wrong with the guy if you looked at him. But his normal, man, let me tell you, the dude is very inspiring with the stuff that goes on with him. So, tonight we got a special guest, Uncivilized Rebirth, rebuilding the warrior within with Paul Miller. Army, welcomes Army combat veteran, speaker, mentor, and founder of Uncivilized Rebirth for an honest conversation about what it truly means to heal after military service. After serving 16 years as an infantryman with multiple combat deployments, Paul found himself facing the same invisible battles that affects thousands of veterans every year: PTSD, chronic pain, alcoholism, anger, and a struggle to reconnect with his family threatened to define the next chapter of his life. And I will tell you right now that that's something that we all, as veterans, we all go through. I can tell you my battles, and I have told you my battles uh, for the longest time. My wife, of course, we're not married when I was in the military, but we dated at the end of my service, and then when I got recalled back in, we were kind of sort of dating at that time. Um, so it's one of those things, I had my demons before I met her, and dealing with those, I kind of masked those behind the scenes because the protector in me is like, oh, I don't want my wife and kids to know the struggles that I went through. Of course, alcoholism was when I was in the Marines. I became an alcoholic, and I've talked about how my chain of command helped me. They didn't burn me; they helped me. Sent me to detox, and I was sober for many, 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 many moons, and now I will drink one or two. So we all as veterans, we deal with our demons, our chronic pain. I'm in pain every day. What's going on, William Stevens, Steve-O? Checking in, brother. How are you? We all deal with, chronic pain, especially if you're infantry. My body, I'm 48, just turned 48 July 7th. And I will tell you that my body is completely broken. I've already had a total knee replacement on my right knee. I have to have my left knee done. And the doctor at the VA is like, well, we never do them on people your age. And I'm like, well, doc, my knees are so shot that it hurts to even walk. So, he decided to do one. I just finally got the clearance to start talking about doing the other. Well, my youngest daughter just graduated college. She's moving into, or not college. She just graduated high school. She's getting ready to move into her dorm. Um, awesome, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you. Um, so she'll be moving into her dorm this August coming up. And I think I'm going to talk to him about seeing when we can go ahead and get the other one done, because it does need to be done. But it is one of those things. Franco over on TikTok, what's going on? 06 Reveille, how are you, sir? Man, I was wearing your hat in the Caribbean, Franco. I was wearing the 06 Reveille down there in uh, well, Cozumel and friggin' Belize. So giving you a big shout out there with 06 Reveille going to the Caribbean, my friend. But anyway, so we're going to bring up Mr. Paul here in just 1 second to talk about things that he's doing. So his transition from the military service, the demons that he's faces, if he's comfortable talking about that. We're going to talk about how he's overcome that and created Uncivilized Rebirth. Um, so that's what we're going to do, my friends. All right, Franco, I'll have to check out the website, my friend. I will have to check out the website. All right, without further ado, let's bring Paul Miller up to the stage. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing really good. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you for taking time your busy schedule to come hang out with me on this Sunday, this glorious Sunday. So do me a favor, introduce yourself to the world of Homefront SitRep if you don't mind.
My name is Paul Miller. I served in the Army National Guard for 16 years. I was medically retired with a rare disease, transverse myelitis. Had to learn to walk again after losing the ability to walk. So that led down a really deep path of healing. I'm a dad, 3 kids, single, and just working on building a program to give back. Because after what I've been through, it would be a waste not to help others with what I've learned.
I hear you there. So let's tell me your story. So here you are. You did 16 years in the National Guard. You're medically retired. So what was your MOS, and what, if you're comfortable, what caused you to be medically retired?
I was 11 Bravo for about 10 years or so, and then I reclassed to combat medic, and that was really awesome. And then one summer camp, we were training, and I started losing the ability to walk, and I came down with this disease called transverse myelitis. It's a swelling within the spinal cord. And so my summer camp there ended in the hospital, and it was like months in the hospital and then rehab.
So what was your medical separation? How long did that take? So like, for example, Gunny, when he got medically retired, it was a long process at first, and then because he was a guinea pig of sorts for the Marine Corps and the Navy on how they did that. So like his rating and stuff and all of that. Of course, he had 30 plus surgeries, and they told him he could no longer do his job, even though he reclassed and went to the Air Wing. They were like, "Oh, you can no longer do your job." He was still doing it, and he was doing it as good as he could, because that's why he reclassed. But he said it was about 2 weeks after the package went through that, all right, he was like, "All right, your package is clear for medical separation." 2 weeks later, boom, he was out. What was your transition like?
It was very non-glorious. The last day I was in uniform, I was in a wheelchair going in the hospital. And that's the last day I wore the uniform. And then from there, it was just over the phone. I had a really good AGR guy, Malone. I was in 20th group at the time. And no, I'd just gotten out of 20th group, went back to the infantry when all this happened. But there was a dude from another unit that stepped in and started handling all of my paperwork and all of my documents because my unit was dropping the ball. It was about a 9-month process, I would say. No. It was well over a year-long process. Because they put me on active duty orders and sent me home after all the hospital stuff. And I was med boarded over the phone. I was put in a unit that was like a medical unit for brokies. And I would just call to check in, and I would do my med board over the phone. They made it pretty easy. And then in August of 2016, I got mailed my retirement letter and medical discharge.
Mm, mm.
Um, it
So
was unceremonious.
yeah. So I don't really know a whole lot about the National Guard. I mean, I know a little bit about the National Guard, but I don't know a whole lot because I was active duty myself. Um, so were you like on active guard status, or were you 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the summer? What was your status?
For a majority of my service, I was on Title 10 orders, on active duty orders, because I started immediately doing, I was on Homeland Security, Operation Noble Eagle, and then Operation Iraqi Freedom, and then Operation Enduring Freedom, I guess. And I did that deployments to Iraq for several years in my early 20s. So I stayed on active duty for years. My National Guard service was very different from what the old guard got. They just were 2 weekends a month, 2 weeks a year, and they didn't give a F. Whereas me and my generation, I knew a lot of guys that kept going and going and going. And then after a whole bunch of tours, I was trying to go to Afghanistan. They're like, no, they like turned me down. They're like, I was like deep into alcohol, and they're like, no. So thankfully, I got on working at a shooting school for several years. And then after that, I started doing instructing for soldiers about to deploy overseas, like getting them ramped up. I had a really cool career. I spent a lot of time in my uniform. And so it wasn't just 2 weeks in the summer, 1 weekend a month. I wouldn't have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for my experience. It was amazing.
So my uncle, he was Air Guard. He did 40 years in Air Guard. Of course, he was on a C-130. I want to say he was crew chief, or I don't know what he did. But this guy deployed all the time. I mean, he was gone all the time. And of course, he'd come home and he'd be home for a little bit, then he was gone again. But you are correct. Like some of the old heads, like you said, some of the old heads, probably my generation, National Guard, or my early generation, because I joined in '97, so pre 2001. Those guys, like you said, they're 2 weekends a month, 2 weeks out of the summer. That's what they did. Now there are some guys like I said, my uncle, he was C-130, so he traveled all over the world. My stepdad was National Guard for 20 years. That was before kind of he was still National Guard when my mom and him met, but he got hurt. He did 20, but they medically separated him. Now he got hurt while he was on a training revolution, but since he didn't deploy for more than 180 days consecutively, he had no VA benefits because he was technically a National Guard guy. Which I think they're changing that now, like they're changing that around for the National Guard, and I think it should be changed, because just for the simple fact you guys do go to boot camp. You guys, I say you guys, but I'm talking about
I understand.
National Guard, Air Guard. They do go to boot camp just like we do in the Marines. All right, Steve-O, and you sign your name on that dotted line. And everybody knows you sign your name on that dotted line, what that means. So for the VA that says, oh, well, these guys or girls don't rate VA medical because they didn't deploy for more than 180 days consecutively, to me, that's horse manure, because you guys and gals that serve in the National Guard or Air Guard or reserves or whatever, you guys still go to boot camp. You still sign your name on that dotted line. That's how I feel about it. So, all right, you get you have this medical discharge because of the disease that came about. How are you doing from that? Or is that still there or what?
I still have issues with it every now and then because it left me with spinal cord damage. And so sometimes I'll have issues walking. I'll need a cane every now and then, or my legs just don't. They just, and so it's definitely been an adjustment, but it doesn't define me by any means.
Right.
But I still have the damage there, and I still have I call it kind of like relapsing a little bit. But I've learned to understand what my body needs, when to dial it back, and when I can push a little harder. And so that's helped me navigate this a lot better.
Yeah. It's kind of like me with my total knee replacement. So go have the knee surgery done. He's like, "Oh, I straightened you up," because I'm bow-legged. I'm bow-legged and pigeon-toed, and he's like, "Oh, I straightened you up a little bit." I was like, "What does that mean? You straightened me up a little bit?" He goes, "Well, your leg's a little straighter. It's not as crooked." And so get the surgery done, and my knee's not, like a month later, my knee's still not wanting to bend like it's supposed to be bending. So they go back in, they do a manipulation. So they put me under, and then they just force my knee back to make it bend like it's supposed to. And after that, I start my, physical therapy, and it's still on down the road. It's still not bending like it's supposed to. So he goes, "Well, we're going to do another manipulation." So, yeah. So they bend it again, and then it started working better. Like I can now. It's been 2 years, and the only problem that I have is when I try to kneel down on the ground, because I work outside all day long. Kneeling down on that knee, it hurts, but I still have to adjust. And I know what my body, like if I'm on my feet for 12 hours a day, I know that I need to rest my leg, even though I still need, to me, I'm still like, "Oh, you need to keep pushing." But I'm like you, I'm like, I know what my body can do and what my body can't do. So let's talk about the philosophy behind Uncivilized Rebirth and how Uncivilized Rebirth was born.
So, uncivilized rebirth broken down, what it means is becoming a version of you without all the prior input in your life. Because we're at a point where, in life, and you're like, "Oh, I'm this way because my dad. I act this way because the military. This is just the way I am." But if you break your life down, you look through it and you're like, "Oh, I act this way because of these people. I act this way because of the military. I have these characteristics or these likes and dislikes, and they were picked up along the way." And it just got me thinking. It's like, okay, so I got to the point in my life about 4 years ago where I didn't like the character that I was. Just didn't like it. And I was really becoming self-aware a lot more of like, I can do better than this. What were the inputs? And I started thinking, it's like, if I was basically programmed by all these other systems and people throughout the last almost 40 years, or 39 years at that point in time, I could do this to myself. I can program myself to have different characteristics, to speak differently, to write differently. And that just means I need to be super self-aware. So this was like a rabbit trail of rabbit trails of like personal discovery. And so part of this was basically the brain is looking at old programming in the subconscious. It's like, I'm in a situation, going to pull up this piece of programming and play it. And you're like, I just spoke like my dad and I didn't want to. I sounded just like my parents, or I reacted a certain way. So I had to find a way to override those old programmings and basically put in a new program to start programming my brain where there's a new base reaction for everything and just override the old programming. So first off, I came up with a symbol. And the cool thing about a symbol is if you look at the Apple symbol or the Nike swoosh, all of that company information populates in your brain. Like the iPhone, the iPad, back in the day, the iTunes, and all that stuff. The way you walk into an Apple store, the way it feels, all
Right.
that information is connected to the symbol. And so I created a character sheet and a symbol where this character information is who I wanted to become. So now this symbol and this information were connected in my mind. So it became a place where I could ground and connect to, of like, this is where my new programming comes from, like a new codex from me. So I had to basically start creating these interrupts where it's like alt control delete on your Microsoft computer. It's like a program starts running, you don't want it to, it won't shut down. Control alt delete, then I can mechanically shut it down. So basically, breath work, be able to do controlled breathing where I take over my system. And this breath work I use is by Joe Dispenza. Well, the creator created breath, but people have different methods.
Right.
And so I would do this breath work, which makes me have the ability to override whatever programs popping up or reactions, and then conduct myself in a different manner. And this is creating new neural pathways, sending the energy in different places in the brain. So with that, I was like, oh, I need to feed the brain properly so it has the nutrients to build these pathways. So like my lens just started focusing internally. And then I had to come up with a system of, I need to be able to process memories from my past, like the painful ones. And then I also need to take control of my imagination. So if I can do those major things in my mind, get my memories processed, get the character I want to be in the moment, and basically master that, which that's a lifelong journey, I believe, and then control my imagination, that will give me so much power on becoming a different version of me.
Yeah.
And so I started documenting it. As I was going along, I was writing down what was working. And I took a step back after a while and I was like, oh crap, I have created different different teachable modules or teachable systems that can be replicated. So I created modules in a whole system that somebody can go through and learn these techniques for practicing. I might have rabbit trailed there a little bit. If you want me to focus in on
No,
any
no, you're
area,
good
man.
because we want to talk about uncivilized rebirth. I was thinking when you said this that I, there's some therapy out there where they try to help you with like some of your triggers, and they help you think of those triggers as something different. And I forget AC something. I forget accelerated resolution therapy, kind of what it sounds like when I'm hearing it, but I'm also hearing, you know, retrain your brain to think of things. Like for me, for example, um, I know that when I go into a restaurant, the first thing I do is I scan the area for threats. And then when they seat us at a table, my back has to be my face has to be facing the door, the exit. We
Mhm.
have one restaurant here where there's multiple exits, and I'm like, depending on where they put me at, I'm like, all right, which one's going to be more likely somebody's going to come in, and so I have to. think about it to not think about it. That's what I do. So there are times when, depending on the situation, the group that I'm in, because a lot of my civilian friends don't understand um, the struggles that goes on inside. Right now, my wife and kids, they understand. They know, hey, as soon as they go in and they see the table, they're like, all right, that's dad's spot. They won't sit in that spot because they know that's where I'm going to want to go. Um, but like you said, like alcohol, that dude, that for me, that was my vice for a really long time. Because for one, I grew up in Barstown. 90% of the world's bourbon was made in Bardstown, Kentucky, where I'm from. So I was predisposed to drinking bourbon. That was something that at a very early age, I think I was 12, maybe 13 at the time, when I had my first drink of bourbon. And my love for bourbon didn't end. And it's still, and I will tell you, still to this day, I love bourbon. Bourbon is my weakness. But now I'll drink 1, 2, or 3, and I'm done. I cut myself off. I'm like, no, no, I can't do anymore. What's going on, Rich LaMonica? How are you, sir? I was talking about you a little bit ago. So I have to cut myself off, and I do that because I know I retrain my brain to think, all right, I'm drinking to be with friends socially, but we don't want to slip down that slope. So 3 and you're done. My wife and I have been together for 23 years, and in 23 years, she's seen me drunk one time, and that's when we were in the Dominican Republic. I had no kids to take care of. I had no responsibilities. I was in a pool all day long with a swim up bar, and I let myself go. I needed to relax. Uh, and that was the only time. That was the last time. And that was 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago when we were there. So you have to retrain um, your eyes for one, because we as veterans, we're trained to see that threat. If you go outside, we're trained to see that threat. We don't see the beautiful flowers that are growing on the side of the road. We see, oh, there's a pile of rubble there. Might be an IED there. Oh, wait a minute. There's some good cover back there. There could be an ambush coming. That's what we see when we go out. We have to train ourselves and our brain to say, hey, look at those beautiful flowers on the side of the road. And that's what we need to do. And that's kind of where Uncivilized Rebirth is born, right?
Yeah, it's changing the way we view the world. I was the same way for many years, especially after my second tour. I was in Uncivilized. It's called the Triangle of Death back in 2005. Spent about 6 months there. And when I got home and the other guys in my platoon, we did not adapt well at all because we went from a really rough area and then they put us for 6 months at a RP, a relay station, just like 12 of us to decompress. And we went wild there basically. But then when we got home, we were all like not dealing well. Like
Yeah.
I was carrying all the time, and I would step out my door, and I was in combat still for like a decade. It got to the point later on I got married again, and we're going to church, and I'm loading up my every time we go to church or anywhere, it's like I have my body armor, I have my long gun, I got reloads, I have my Glock on me, I have reloads for that, and I have like food stashed away in the van. I have like if we break down the van, it's like we're gonna make it. You know, it's like if we
Yeah.
run into combat, it's like I'm not gonna start it. And this trashed my marriage. It trashed relationships. And I will say this: there's a lot of people that didn't try to understand me. They just liked to view me as like, oh, he's a threat, he's dangerous. When in reality, we aren't a death threat to them. We aren't dangerous. We are like so safe to be around. It's like,
Yeah.
we're going to protect the crap out of you with our lives. And so I think civilians, they chose to be afraid, to
Yeah.
to be able to be like, oh, like play the victim a little bit. And it hurt my heart because it's like, this is coming from a place to protect y'all. It's like, that's why I'm here. Like, I'm not here to start anything. I'm here to make sure all y'all are safe.
Yeah.
Just because I did it overseas, I didn't stop.
Yeah.
But I had finally had to get to the point where I had to look at the reality. And one day I sat down, I was like, I haven't used my weapon one time since 2007, my last deployment, or 2007, 2008. And I have not had anybody pull a weapon on me. I've had nothing in the civilian world that came close to needing to be in a firefight. And I sat down and I told myself, I'm safe. I'm not at war anymore. And that started this radical acceptance of, oh crap, I'm not at war. I'm safe. And like literally letting myself feel that, because for a lot of us, it's uncomfortable to be comfortable.
Yeah.
We're so used to being tensed up and like a vigilant, alert, looking for overpasses, the piles of trash. Like
Yeah.
I still don't like driving by piles of trash or cars on the side of the road. I don't. Just because I know what they can do
Oh yeah.
in other circumstances. So it took radical acceptance to reprogram my brain to be okay with feeling safe and not trying to like, for me, it was like there was a little boy inside of me that I was always trying to protect. And it's like, this is the best way by always staying freaking vigilant.
Yeah.
But that's exhausting. It really is.
No, I would agree with you 100%. It's very exhausting to stay vigilant 24/7, because they tell you the hypervigilance and the anxiety that comes along with that not feeling safe causes you not to sleep great. I will tell you right now, I'm up every 2-3 hours because I can't sleep because my body won't let me sleep. And it's one of those things like I'm like you now. I didn't go to the point of putting body armor on. Of course, I'm old school. We didn't have the plates that you guys had. We had the flak jackets, which wouldn't stop a 9 millimeter if you want my honest opinion. But um so I never enjoyed wearing the flak jacket because it was stupid hot. And so me personally, when I'm out and about, whether I'm at church or whether I'm just driving into Louisville, the big city, I'm always packing. I have a couple in the truck. I try to get my wife to pack. She's got her own guns. She don't like to do it, but she will do it every now and then, depending on where we go. But I'm like, especially in the big city, like it's so much death goes on in the big city here,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm 20-25 minutes outside of the city, but I work in the city. And when I first got out, in 2004, the second time, in 2007, I went to work for the local cable company, and I'd had to go to the west end of Louisville, which is the not so nice part of Louisville, where most of the murder and crime happen. And I would collect cash on demand, or so for the company, we do the install. We have to collect cash before we even do the install. We have that money on us while we're doing the install. Well, I was robbed twice at gunpoint coming out of the house. They stole all the money that I had on me, plus my little laptop that I had. And, so I felt really unsafe. Well, the company was like, well, you can't carry. I'm like, whoa, whoa, what do you mean I can't carry it? I've been robbed twice. So needless to say, I had to wind up leaving the company because they were going to keep sending me back down in that area. And I'm like, no, if you don't let me carry, then I'm not going to that area. You can fire me. But I went ahead and left and went to a different company, and it was I'm still very vigilant, and I shouldn't be. And it's one of those things, like you said, we have to retrain our brain. But as a Marine, I it's going to take a lot to retrain my brain. You know what I'm saying? It's one of
Yeah.
those things. I was infantry in the Marine Corps, and it's going to take a lot to retrain my brain. And I've been trying for 20 plus years to say, all right, you are safe, you are home, you, you don't have to worry. But I will tell you, there is a firearm in every room of my house, readily accessible. I know I'm safe in my own home, but it's when I step out that door. This world's going to hell in a handbasket. It's hard to say we're safe
Yeah.
when you never know.
Well, I know for me it was, and I understand exactly that feeling the need and the desire to have a weapon, because I used to have one readily, always, everywhere. Not like in the bathroom or in the kitchen, but like located
Yeah.
strategically throughout the house with reloads. And when I really started looking inward, I got rid of my weapons purposefully. Because here's where a little faith came in with that. And I don't discuss this stuff much, but I was thinking, if the creator of the universe wants me to have a weapon in a situation, something will be supplied to me, a way out. And the reason I knew that is because throughout my whole life, this is so like amazing. It's like this is what lets me believe there's a higher power or no. Not a belief. Like believing and knowing are totally different things.
Yeah.
Every time in my life where I will be down to the penny and like I've given my last like $20 away before, or had like $1 left in my bank account, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna continue on my path and I'm not gonna stress about this. No joke, so many times I just have money show up just totally randomly. Can't even explain it. One day I was down to like my last little bit of money, and I went and gave it to this lady I knew. She was like, I call her my black grandma. And I didn't tell her like this is my last $20 or anything. I just went and gave it to her. I just sold my house. I just gone through a divorce, and I was buying another house, and things were in turmoil. I just started a business, started college, and I was overwhelmed, literally my bank account on zero. And I get a text message from the people that bought my house. They're like, hey, there was this army backpack and some mail. It's on the front porch for you. Cool. This was not even an hour later. I swing by, pick up the backpack, go to the house I just bought, which was just trashed because I didn't have much to work with after the divorce. I'm going through the mail, and there's a check in there for $1,200.
Oh man.
And right then I was like, tears in my eyes. I was like, I'm not going to doubt again. You ever see The Princess Bride where Wesley comes back and she's like, I'll never doubt again? It's like, I didn't feel like The Princess Bride, but I felt that way. I was like, wow, like this is divine right here. So I applied that faith to my need to defend myself and fight. It's like, I can do a lot with a stick. I can do a lot with my car. That's a four-wheeled weapon I'm driving around. And so that helped with me using faith to develop the person that I wanted to be. Because I'm like, okay, I'm free. I have this military training, but I don't have to let it dictate my mind and control my mind. Like I have autonomy in there. How do I want to be? Do I want to be running crazy in my mind until I'm an old man? Or do I want to just be calm and relaxed, chilling out? It's like, but always able to flip back to that old version of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you need to,
Yeah.
like, boom.
I tell my wife all the time, she's the worrier of the bunch. She worries about everything. Granted, we're not we're not hurting, now in life. Now, when we first got together, we struggled. But I always told her back then, I was like, look, he will provide in his time. If it's needed, we'll make it through. I mean, there's days, there's weeks, there's months where we're like, how are we going to make this payment? How are we going to make this payment? And I will tell you that it happens. I don't know how it happens. I always tell her, I was like, look, it's in his hands. We can't control his timeline, and she's very, like, she's more religious than I am. I will tell you that. She grew up Catholic. I grew up going to church every now and then. She went every Sunday, and she went to every Ash Wednesday and Holy Friday, and she did all that, right? Me, I didn't do that. My brother died in 1994 of cancer. He was 10 years old. I was 15 at the time. I went away from. I went away. Like, I didn't believe. I was like, well, he was 10. He shouldn't have died. So I was like blaming the Lord. I was like, well, why did you take him away? So I went. I'll be honest. I went away. I didn't have in any kind of faith at that time. In the higher power. I was like, well, that's But once I joined the Marine Corps and something said, hey, you need to go back to church, I started going every Sunday. And then as time went on, I started seeing that most organized churches, all they care about is that mighty dollar. So I was like, I can believe in the Lord and not go to church as long as I'm sitting here with myself and the good book and praying to him, then that's my church. So me personally, I don't believe. Got some questions on TikTok. I'll get to in 1 second, Brian. Me personally, I don't believe in you have to go to a church building to pray and believe in the Lord, right? And I tell my wife that now. Like, I go to church every other Sunday with her, and that's a promise that I made her 20 years ago when we got married. I was like, hey, we'll raise our kids the way you want to raise our kids in the church, but I'm not going to church every Sunday. I'm not going to go to church. I'm not going to go to church on Holy Friday, Ash Wednesday, or any of that. Every other Sunday, I'm going to go. That's the deal, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like Chris. Chris just said this right here. My church is in the woods and on the water. That's the woods. Being in the woods, watching nature wake up. That's my church, because he created that for us to enjoy. And so here it is. My kids are 19 and 17, and they go to church every Sunday with their mom. And she worries more than I do. And I'm like, babe, it's in his hands. He will control it. And that's kind of like when I started this podcast. I didn't know how this podcast was going to go three and a half years ago. But I told myself then, I was like, I'm going to let him tell me what I need to do. And he's led this journey. Like, I don't pay for sponsorship. I don't pay for Facebook ads. I don't TikTok ads. I don't pay for none of that. And the reason I don't is because the people like Chris Chris there, or Rich Lamonic, or Brian with Every Day's a Saturday, or my sister Addie that just joined in. Those people keep coming back, and then they tell their friends, and then their friends come. That's him leading the way, and that's the way I look at it. Right? He's controlling my destiny. So that's how I look at things. So there is a question over on TikTok from, so it's Brian Roof. He's the podcast host of Every Day's a Saturday, USMC veteran, and also Coffee Talk with Brian and Marie. His question is, which branch is he in MOS? So do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer?
I'll do it. It was Alabama Army National Guard, and I was 11 Bravo, which was infantry, and then 68 whiskey, which was combat medic. So I reclassed about 2/3 or 3/4 of my career.
So Brian, he was infantry in the Army, 11 Bravo, and then combat medic. And then Mo on the mic just said something. So when you see me look over like this, as I'm looking at TikTok because I have TikTok streaming this as well.
That's cool.
Mo on the mic says some people don't read the Bible. And I would agree with you. So I have a Warrior's Bible. I don't know if you guys seen that or not, but it is made for us. It's made for veterans. It's called the Warrior's Bible. If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one. And I read that Bible. I don't read it all the time. I will tell you, I'm not that devout where I'm going to open it up on a Sunday morning and say, hey, I'm going to read my Bible. There are some verses that I memorize that stick out in my head because of they've dealt with day-to-day life and they fit into that day-to-day life, right? Brian just says, I'll get to that. But anyway, so I do read the Bible, not all the time. I will open it up. Matter of fact, this is my second Warrior's Bible. I had a Marine brother up in Mass who was struggling, and he's religious to a certain extent. He called me one night and he was talking about some crazy stuff. And I had a friend that was going to travel up to visit. And I said, hey, take this up to my brother. And she took it and she dropped it off to him. And he called me the next day bawling his eyes out because that's what he needed. He needed that Bible at that time. So I had to buy me a new one because I needed one for myself here at the house. So Brian, with Every Day's a Saturday USMC veteran, I believe that religion is man-made, not made by God, is what he just said over on TikTok. And there are people out there that believe that the Bible and the Word has been diluted over many, 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 many years. To a certain extent, I kind of see that to a certain extent because if you look back at early teachings, how the Bible was written, then it's been translated into all these different languages, right? And it's been redone how many times?
Countless.
And here's my thing is it one man's interpretation of what another man was saying? You see where I'm going with that.
Be careful saying stuff like that around religion.
Yeah. No, I know.
I'm agreeing with you.
It's just one of those things. It's like, oh man, here's the thing. There is a higher power.
Yes.
Whether the word is correct in the Bible or not, There's enough in that Bible that tells me that the man upstairs is there and he will one day come back. And he is leading this world that we live in. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are deranged and they're fucking the world up. Excuse my French. I hate to say it, but the world's going to hell in a handbasket.
Our society, or this, I'm going to say this, like this human herd that we're in inside this continent is really messed up the way they raise humans. And for the past decades and decades, the way humans are raised are pretty messed up, and it shows. Like, look how people are turning out. We have to look at ourselves and our society. Like, oh, these are the inputs that we thought were amazing, but how come so many people are broke and on medications? That's because humans are messing it up. We muck it up when we create systems. People find ways to manipulate it and use it as a control mechanism or a controlling tool, and that's
So
a whole other rabbit trail.
Brian is saying, you think God wanted us to create division? 100% there is a higher power. We are very brainwashed. Label makers, we like to make labels for everything. And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, we do as a society, and I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know where the change happened. Okay, this is. I don't want to get into this. Really, it's a lot of religion, but we as a society, there was a change way back when, and I can't pinpoint the change. Like when I grew up, you were this way, right? Now, like Brian said, there's labels for everything. Back then, there was only a few labels, right? And it's just like, uh, where did that? What happened? What changed to make the world the way that the world is now?
It got put on that course at some point in time early on. And so when you start building something, let's say you're going to build a pyramid and you're like, oh, I got a brick. I put a brick out there, the cornerstone. Somebody walking by they might not even see that brick. Then I put another brick, another brick. And after like a few years of me building this pyramid by myself, I got a little bit, seems like a little mound. Somebody can see it walking by a ways off and like, After 15 years, all of a sudden there's this freaking pyramid and people are like, whoa, where'd that come from? One little thing at a time.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And you mentioned that we used to have labels. Labels are they divide. It's like, oh, you're this. I'm only going to hang out with the people that make these sounds. I'm only going to hang out with the people that are labeled this way. And then I'm going to hate these people that are labeled. And then the next generation is like, ooh, I'm going to be called this and have my own group. And then they're like, well, I want to be special. I got my own group. And people join that. And then they're like, well, I'm going to hate you. You can't hate me. You're bad. You're people. You have a soul in a body and you're having a human experience. The end. You're making sounds. The division divides us and it makes us weaker. And that's, in my opinion, what the powers that be do not want. They do not want a unified herd of humans to all look up at once and say, we're done. As long as everybody's down here fighting, bickering, they're just sitting back, cool, watch this thing that'll make you mad. This group of people will get mad about this. And this just, so an airplane that's being built in a wind tunnel, they put all these sensors on it, like the little models, to see where the stressors are. And that's what the societal engineers do. They see, if we add stress here in this city, let's raise the gas prices and see how they react.
Yeah.
Let's put this news on this station and see what group of people react. And now that data is being collected nearly on every adult human through a cell phone, they can track in real time how groups of human react. And their processing capability for tracking at such a large level is massive. So
Yeah.
they can just sit back and be like, well, how do we need to ruffle the feathers over here?
Yeah.
It's like human manipulation at a very messed up level.
Oh yeah, and you hit it spot on. And Brian says, "Bingo, boom, mic drop." You hit it spot on. So I've had many conversations over the last month, years about mainstream media and how they want to keep us as Americans separated. Whether you're Jewish American, Black American, Native American, Indian American, Asian American, whatever, they want to keep each one of our cells separated. They, they don't care about us. They just want to keep, whites hating blacks, or blacks hating Asians, or whatever. That's what they want. That's what mainstream media wants. That's what
Yes.
the powers to be want, right? And I might have to dial it back a little bit, because I get a little touchy when it comes to this situation.
Righteous anger.
Yeah, yeah. Because so my first wife was a black lady from Chicago, Illinois. I'm from Kentucky. We weren't supposed to be together, because I'm a redneck from Kentucky. That's what I was told. You don't date black women. You can't marry a black woman. But I
That
did. I
angry.
did, right? And then, of course, she cheated on me, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, we told you." But it is what it is.
White women cheat too.
Yeah, white women cheat too. I would agree with you 100%. White men cheat, black men cheat,
Yep.
everybody cheats. Um, and
Yep.
it's just one of those things. It's like, I used to say I don't see color, like, because I'm a military guy. I don't see color. But then I had to rephrase that, and the reason I have to rephrase that is because I want to be able to celebrate a culture and not hinder that culture, if that makes sense. But here's my thing: you have Black Americans that have been in this country for generations. Why does mainstream media say they're African Americans when they're not? We don't know that all of their ancestors came from Africa. We don't know that. So why call them African Americans? Why is it an African American community? Why can't it be just a Black American community? Or why can't it just be a American community? Why does it have to be an African American community? That's my two cents on that.
I think just more layers of separation still. And word control. One of the deepest ways of controlling humans is controlling the sounds they make and making them afraid to make sounds. And belief. Our biggest freedom is our ability to believe what we want to believe, and we should be able to make whatever sounds we want to make.
Yeah.
But there's meanings attached to the sounds, and then there's shame, blame, and judgment, ruin your reputation. All these people think this, so it's like we're going to control people on the sounds they can make. And like we're controlled to such an umpteenth level, people don't take a step back and really think about where they live and how controlled they are, and really look at the human zoo they're in. You can't drive without paying taxes on a vehicle, paying taxes on the gas, getting a piece of plastic to give you permission to drive, then paying a company, an insurance company, to be able to drive. And then you have to follow multiple rules. So there's all these hoops just to move your body in an efficient manner to go bank money for then that system to be like, we're going to take this money right off the top.
Mm.
You want to go fish? You need to pay for that. Like every human movement is almost moderated. Even marriage. It's like, oh, you got to ask government permission.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to get permission. Oh, you want to separate? We're going to get involved with your children's life now.
Yeah.
Like,
so I was watching a TikTok video.
I rabbit trailed there a little bit.
No, you're good. I'm a rabbit trail with you here because I was watching a TikTok video talking about that same exact thing. It was a senator. It might have even, I can't remember who it was. And he was like, well, you have to have a driver's license to drive a car. You have to have a driver's license or a fishing license to go hunting and fishing. You have to have a license to do this, but you don't have to have a license to come into this country. And then he's like, well, you have to have a license to get married. You have to have a license to do this. You have to have but you don't have to have a license to vote. And I'm like, bro, everything that we do, like you said, you have to have a license for it. If you want to get a divorce, you got to go see a priest, and then they got to tell you, oh, well, you're okay to get a divorce. Oh, mother, if I want to get a divorce, I'm going to get a divorce. I don't care what you say. And the judges, oh, well, you got to go through 6 months of marriage counseling. No, look, dude, we don't live together. We can't stand each other. Either let us get a divorce or something bad's going to happen. I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah, the government shouldn't be involved in two humans coming together to I butchered that word, to be together.
Cohabitate.
Yes, thank you. You rescued me. The government's like sticky fingers are in everything. Just everything. It's like go back 300, 500, 600 years and you might have a community out in the wilderness maybe, and there's 20, 30 people there at most, and you're living together, and a man and woman together, and they have to bring value to each other. If one of them's like, oh, you're starting to suck as a person, well, I'm going to go over here with Ugnug. He's stronger, catches more deer, and he's a better provider. Well, then over here, he might get mad, and then he's like, Ugnug's like, no, she's made her decision. You know, you failed and fumbled the ball. Or with a woman, Ugnug could be like, I found a better woman that skins a deer better, you know, and finds more berries. And it's like, I'm going to her cave now. We're caving together. And it's like, and I didn't mean that metaphorically, but like, we have lost so many freedoms of just being like, all right, you as a human, like, no longer want to be with you. You're not doing it, because we have different faces when we date. And then when we're done, we're like, haha, the monster's here. And so, so now we are like, it reminds me of Frodo in Lord of the Rings in the last one, where he's stuck in that spider web and he's like trying to get out. And that's what marriage is like, almost like you're in this sticky web. You're just, any way you go, it can be miserable.
Yeah.
It's like, man, this is an institution that I think it can be wonderful, possibly. But from my experiences, it's been a nightmare. And I've seen other people who they just choose to submit and just be browbeat and just be miserable. It's like, man, that was a rabbit trail.
Well, I can tell you my marriage. I've been with my wife now 23 years. We are 24 years. We've been married it'll be 21 this November, married. We've had our ups and downs. But for the most part, I still love her the first day I met her.
That's awesome.
And we, like I said, we've had our ups and downs. And I will tell you, I wouldn't be the man that I am today if I didn't have her in my corner. And I think she makes me a better man. Me and her, we've broken generational curses in our family.
Right on.
Which is phenomenal. because I will tell you, when I was abused growing up, I had a r- rough childhood. It was my mom and 4 kids and boyfriends, her boyfriends. Some were very abusive and others were drunk. And I li- the house we lived in had it had one internal running water source inside, and that was at the kitchen sink. We had to fill up buckets and put it in the bathtub and heat the water on the stove. We had an outhouse until I was 13 years old. So I grew up rough, and I will tell you, I am very rough around the edges. Um, I did finish high school. My mom didn't. All of her kids did. She didn't. Seventh grade was her last grade. My dad was a summertime dad. Sometimes he was there, sometimes he wasn't. Um, when I decided to have kids of my own, I was like, look, I'm gonna be there for my kids. I'm not gonna be like my dad. I'm gonna if I need to be there for sports or whatever, as long as I'm not working, I'll be there. I've never unless I was working, which I have to provide for my family. If I wasn't working and I'm off work, I'm at their event unless they told me they didn't want me there because I made them nervous. My oldest daughter shot archery, and I'm loud. Like, I like to be loud. In an archery tournament, you can't be loud when they're shooting. And she's like, "Dad, you make me nervous. Can you not come?" I'm like, "Baby, but I want to come watch you. But you make me nervous." So I obeyed her wishes. She's like, "Daddy, you make me nervous." And then she finally got over it, and I started going to all of her tournaments again because I wanted to be there to support her. And I think she knew that it hurt my feelings that I wasn't able to go. So she got over it. So, but unfortunately, I didn't even realize the time until just now, man. It's 8:13. When you're having fun, time goes by quickly.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been a good conversation.
Yes, it has. It has. We touched on a little bit of everything. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you or see what Uncivilized Rebirth is about, how would they go about doing that?
So it's based on the school platform now. I had a great place so I could build the learning modules. And you go to the school platform, school.com, SKOOL, and search for Uncivilized Rebirth. Um, the links are on all my social media, like Uncivilized Rebirth on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And there, when you go to Uncivilized Rebirth on school platform, you can book a call with me and we'll get on a call and it'll just be like a discovery call. Find out where you are, what you got going on, then I'll tell you about the UR program and we'll just see how to move forward from there.
All right, so I just put in the link in the chat, link to the school.com / uncivilized rebirth 6488 / about. Go there, join this group, and you can find out more about school. And like you said, you can do a call there as well. So, Paul, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come hang out with me for this hour and 15 minutes. But great conversation, my friend. And I'm going to be following you and seeing everything that you got going on, my friend.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me on. I think each rabbit trail could have been like a 2-hour conversation in itself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely could have. It definitely could have been a major rabbit trail session, but unfortunately, Reese Across America says, "Hey, you got to keep it less than an hour and a half." So, so I appreciate you for taking time out of your busy day to come hang out with me. But man, I can't thank you enough for coming and hanging out with us.
Man, I appreciate you having me on. Feel the same
You're
way.
welcome. Yes, sir. Well, you have a great night, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Roadhouse.
Yes, sir. Later. Ladies and gents, how cool was that? So check out Uncivilized. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, Uncivilized Rebirth, rebuilding the warrior within. Paul Miller, Healing from Trauma, Finding Purpose Beyond the Uniform, Faith, Family, and Accountability, Leading a Life of Meaning and Impact. So go check out Uncivilized Rebirth. You can find it on School. See if I can find it. Ooh, no, that's too big. Trying to find one that ain't so big, man. God, 'cause I'm ugly. You don't want to see my ugly mug. But anyway, I want to say thank you to all of our people that have comes back every Sunday and every Monday to hang out with us here on HomeFront SitRep. If you're the praying type, say a prayer for Gunny. He is home from the hospital. Just keep him in your prayers. He's going to need it in the near future. So let's do this. Listen, you're not alone. Don't let your dark days win. In the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. The uniform may come off, but the bond remains. And together we heal. Together we rise. And together we carry each other forward. That's the key word there. Together is the key word. Be someone stranger, guys. Listen, we talk about this on every show on HomeFront SitRep. Be someone stranger. And what I mean by this is we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be someone stranger today. When you're out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them and say, hey, how are you doing? And if they give you the red flags, I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm living the dream. Ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? And be ready for that conversation, because it could be a 5-minute conversation. It could be an 8-hour conversation, and just listen. Don't try to fix them. Sometimes we just need to get it out. So just listen. It takes a village. Look, we all have our village. This little device here is our village. Our inner circle. Reach out to your village. Open up your phone, go to your contacts, close your eyes, scroll, hit a button. See who you land on. Call that person. And if they don't answer, leave a message. Say, hey man, it's Willis. Just calling to check in on you and how you doing. And then close your eyes, do it again. And keep going until you get a hold of somebody. You never know, your voice could save somebody's life. So it takes a village. Big shout out to Heroes Media Group. This is one of our community partners. HomeFront SitRep has been a proud HMG family member now for almost 3 years. Adam Bird and his team, man, they are phenomenal. I can't say enough about Adam and what he does for the veteran community. So go check out heroesmediagroup.com. Up next is reachacrossamerica.org/radio. This is Reach Across America Radio, which HomeFront SitRep is a proud family member. We have been on Reach Across America Radio now for 2.5 years. You can find us on Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. That's Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern on Reach Across America Radio. Up next, same flag, same oath.com. Man, I will tell you what, I love me some same flag, same oath.com. Matt and Becky Johnson outside of Katy, Texas. They partnered with us and they created our Marine It Down shirt. Probably almost 2 years ago, which is a co-branded shirt with them. We get 25% of all sales of that shirt. And what we do at the end of the year, we take a spinning wheel, whoever it lands on, they get that check, right? Well, we partnered back with them and then we created some more shirts. So we got the spicy pineapple, which says on the back, toss and join people's life since 1918. We have our HomeFront SitRep shirt. We have our Red Friday shirt. We have our You're Not Alone and also Be Someone Stranger shirt. So go check out sameflagsameoath.com and check out the shirts that they got going there. I will tell you, they are phenomenal. Up next is EliteEngraving24.com. They created our HomeFront SitRep hat, which is this hat here. It's got the red patch for remember everyone deployed. It's a Richardson 112, which is my favorite style of hat. So go check out eliteengraving24.com. And then, check out homefrontsitrep.com. All of our shirts and our hats, they're listed on our merch link. So you don't even have to go to sameflagsameoath.com or Elite Engraving 24. You just go to homefrontsitrep.com, click on the merch link, and you can see it there. When you order a hat or a shirt, tag Homefront SitRep in it. We want to see you wearing "You're Not Alone." We want to see you wearing "Be Someone Stranger." Heck, if you want the spicy pineapple, we want to see you wearing that too, because it's a funny shirt. So go check out Homefront SitRep. Marcus, tell your dad to have a good night, and I can't wait to see him in February to go fishing, some ice fishing up there in Wisconsin with you guys. But anyway, that's the end of our show, my friends. Like we always say on Homefront SitRep, stay safe out there. We got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.